Chancellor, thank you very much. And I too would echo my colleagues' compliment to you on your transparency and your candid conversation that you're having with us today. It's greatly appreciated. So you essentially run a business, right? And that business provides a product to very savvy consumers, students and their families. Much of your competition is actually sitting in this room today, right? You have to compete with trade and technical schools, community colleges, private institutions here in the Commonwealth, right? So there's two things that I think consumers, our students, want, and that's relevance and return on investment with regard to that degree and the skills that they acquire from obtaining that degree. With regard to relevance, you know, we continue to hear the governor talk about workforce development. We're hearing our state agency secretaries talk about workforce development. Members in the House and the Senate are talking about workforce development. I've been talking about it. Probably everybody here in Harrisburg's talking about it. It's a really big issue. John Mysick wrote the other day, if there's a phrase that's buzzier this budget season than workforce development, we're hard pressed to think of what it is. So in your county, I go to businesses, I listen to the employers. They say, we need employees with the skills to fill the job vacancies throughout the county and the Commonwealth. So I'd like to learn more about what our 14 state-owned universities are doing to address this issue. And before you answer that, I would say I'd like to explain just a little bit. I was at York College the other day. They're doing some interesting things to adapt and change to the demands of students and employers. They are retooling their course and program offerings. They're adding programs like cybersecurity, expanding their nursing program, adding more technical and engineering career pathways and courses. So they're adapting and they're staying relevant and putting together programs that students want and employers need. So when I look at all of the significant challenges for PASSHE, right, you clearly stated them. You have enrollment trend issues. You have financial challenges. You know, can you talk to us about what the state system is doing to address student need and employer need?
Yeah, let me start with the workforce. So one of the great things about PASSHE is that it has probably the best data that I've seen. It's one of the reasons I came here. We don't need to fly blind. We can identify with, you know, as good a pinpoint accuracy as can be had about what employer needs are by 2026, and we can build programs to meet those needs, and we do that routinely. Every single program which is developed by a university is, by requirement, aligning itself with workforce needs and analyzing, you know, what the opportunities are in the marketplace and what the demands from employers are. So that's a real strength. I think the other strength that the system its universities uniquely have is that, obviously it's important for all higher education to train people for their next job. But as my understanding of the future of work is that it's going to be very rare for someone to go into the next job and stay there for the course of their career. They are going to have to continue to come in and out of higher education in order to relearn and upskill and reskill. And that is not about a particular technical competency. That is about a set of competencies which enable someone to learn how to learn, right? It requires critical thinking and communication skills, all the things you get from a liberal arts experience. And the beauty of the PASSHE system and its universities is that they are born of that experience, and they have historically layered that technical competencies on them, initially often for teachers training, but now in so many other areas. Our biggest growth areas are obviously STEM, H, and business, right? So you have that blend, which is pretty remarkable. And so when I stated earlier about my enthusiasm for the Pennsylvania state systems universities, that enthusiasm is real. That secret sauce is real. It is not entirely unique across the nation, but it is also pretty rare. And it's available and continue to be available at a public university price. Obviously that reflects the partnership. The future of that will reflect the nature of the partnership with the state.
So essentially what you're saying is that you have the flexibility to create program offerings based on needs of students and needs of employers.
This is true, and I'll say it for the several last set of questions, which really have to go planning towards our future, whether it's for Cheney or any other university or for the system as a whole. The limits of our ability are the limits of our imagination. We have an enormous opportunity, not just to right size and correct the challenges that this system has. We have an opportunity to redefine higher education, public higher education in this country. We have that opportunity if we have the courage to seize it. And that is a courage which is a collective accountability, not just of the chancellor and the leadership team, but of our faculty, our staff, and our partners in the legislature.
So in terms of the return on investment, we have heard, I hear a tremendous amount about student loan debt and the cost of higher education. Our daughter made the decision to transfer to Westchester because of a change in career path, and you had that program. And you know, we know it's not cheap. But a lot of those students are incurring their own debt. And when we have colleges and universities that offer degrees that don't have any promising job outlook possibilities upon graduation, I think it really puts them in a difficult position. And having been a dual major in art history, I think I'm also able to say that. So when students and their parents are looking at the price tag of college and weighing that return on investment, we kind of have a sense that there are certain majors that will provide a better return on investment than others. So I look at York College, I look at Thaddeus Stevens in Lancaster, Penn College up in Williamsport, and they seem to be getting it. They're graduating students with degrees that lead to jobs that provide a good return on investment. So what type of research do you do at PASHE with regard to those programs that you offer students that meet the needs of students and employers, as well as the need to have a good job prospect upon graduation? So I guess essentially the question is, are we graduating the next workforce of tomorrow without saddling them with expensive diplomas and limited ways to pay them off?
So those of you that know me know I love a question that gets into the data. So apologies for getting into the data. According to our recent alumni survey, 98% of our students 1 year after graduation are employed in the military or re-enrolled in school to continue their education. Of those, 88% are working in their field of study, which demonstrates alignment with workforce need. 72% are in the state of Pennsylvania. Our graduates, on average 10 years out, earn $44,000 a year. We track our graduate earnings by program of study, by university, and we compare them against national average, and so we know where we are out and underperforming. We are building a career coaching service that is available to our students as they come into the universities and they begin to select their academic programs, so that they can select their academic programs with a view of the career outcomes that they might have, the availability of jobs in their region and elsewhere within those careers, and the likely salaries that they may earn over a period of time within those careers. I'm gonna stop there because I could go on. I mean, again, we have the tools to redesign and reimagine higher education. When I was at my previous job, we invested in institutions. I was an investor, education investor. We invested in institutions in large part based on their leadership and based on the availability they had of the data that would enable them to make really smart strategic choices. And we have those here.